someone says, oh, it's only, with all the benefits and everything, it's $50,000. Well, it's really not $50,000. When you add in all the costs and associated with grievances and lawsuits like this, I think we should have that captured.
It's in the detail. There's a detail that's done, a breakdown of every single.
Labor costs.
Yeah, but not in grievances.
But the cost is not apportioned to that department.
Correct.
In response to your question.
That's right.
Apportioned to the legal budget.
That's just a personal opinion.
Right.
I mean, the access to the information is just a matter of some work. It's available.
Okay, and I know it is, and I just think we should look at it from that perspective. I'd like you to, that's the way I'd like to see it. Because when you start making decisions in the future going down, is it, associated with contracting out services in the future versus sticking with employees in town, when you start associating all the costs associated with these lawsuits and things like that, associated with grievances, those costs have to be figured in. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I've only been here a little over a year, but I've read some of the grievances. I have been in this room, and we've discussed many of these grievances, and I shake my head on what we're spending in legal fees and things that are coming out the other end, and the decisions that are being made. It's costly. It's a big number, $5,000 just in the labor associated with. I know there's some other little things in there, but a big chunk of it is related to that one suit. And there's more suits like that this town has faced and will face in the future.
Further comments?
Yeah, Mike, I just want to
Mr.
get
Yule.
a better grasp of what you're suggesting here, that we're not capturing these numbers by department, or we're not capturing them?
If you want to open up any of our budget books, you can go to every department and look at what we pay for staffing for those
Right.
departments. Anything associated with the grievances that come for those employees in those departments are not associated to the overall cost
Okay,
to those
I
departments.
understand. Then, but what do we accomplish by now knowing that? If we know that a given department shows that we've had X amount of grievances and this department is costing this much.
When you
this much
read a
money.
budget, Jeff, and you see that your labor, let's say, for that department's $100,000, it's actually not a true number. The cost associated with that particular department could be $150,000 if we've been dealing with lawsuits and grievances and all these things associated
I understand what you're
that
saying.
labor.
I-
That's the actual cost.
Yeah,
That's the point I'm trying to
I'm
make.
not, it's not a challenge, it's more of a, I
no,
see
you're
where
not
you're going
challenging.
with that, I see where you're going with that. I just don't, I think we capture the cost, we just don't capture it by department.
We should associate all those expenses in with those departments.
But then,
That's where they belong.
then what
as
do
far
we
as I'm
do with it? I guess that's the question I have. What do we do with it? We now know Department A is costing us for labor and services X amount of dollars, and plus we have litigation costs on top of that. So what do we do
Now we
with
have
that?
captured the actual cost.
Yeah.
That's all. I just want to capture the actual cost.
Yeah, right now, we're only doing that partially. We do it partially with say, the Hillview Commission. Wherever we
Right.
have an enterprise fund,
That's right.
those dollars that are spent on a legal budget are allocated to the enterprise, and we make those appropriate adjustments when we're voting at town meetings, so you can actually see how much the legal costs for water enterprise and Hillview enterprise and maybe recreation, if there is any spent there, very little, that would be culled out and appropriated from those enterprises. So you would see that, but we're not doing it by other departments, say, if we have,
That's a good point.
if we have
I-
negotiations and we have, grievances, when the fire department and the police department, how much was he spent over the last fiscal year on those types
I
of
mean, it
issues?
gives us accurate information,
It's,
is what he's suggesting, I mean, I don't know, in my, trying to think it out a little bit, I don't know what we do with it, but at least it's factual information, and I think that's where he's going with it. And maybe it'll tell us something even a little bit different than we didn't anticipate.
Well,
Sounds-
it certainly is, I think it's helpful in the negotiation process, where we can
Yeah,
point out to
there you
the
go.
people on the other side of the table that the inordinate expenses associated with with maintaining the contract, could potentially, if they, and again, for the most part, 99% of the time, the town prevails on any grievances that have been filed.
I'm
We
not saying
basically-
we're right all the time.
No,
And they're
most of the
probably-
time.
yeah.
A lot of time, the town does prevail.
But we should capture the cost and put them in their right departments
And,
Right.
and highlight it.
It would
point, Mike.
certainly be a highlight at the negotiation table and highlighting it to the public that we're spending an inordinate amount of money, maybe unnecessarily.
Well, and I feel for the town administrator when he has to run his staffing with the limited budget we give him, and then he has no control over these costs. He wakes up and comes to work every day and he doesn't know what that's gonna be.
Well, my
How do you
only
do it?
control is I can roll over, but I don't do that.
Right, I know you don't, and I commend you for it, but I'm trying to help you from a management, okay? Just from a management perspective, you gotta step back and roll those costs into those departments and capture the overall cost associated with that department. 'Cause it's not fair for those other departments that we don't seem to have those trends associated with
I think,
grievances.
Michael, that it's fair, after the fact, to look at those numbers and an analysis of what it cost.
Okay.
But to budget that number, I think is.
I'm not asking you to budget.
Okay.
No. I'm asking you
I
to
think
capture
the way we
actual
budget it is
cost.
the right way to do it.
When we sit here and make decisions, we don't have to have it into the budget number, individual departments, but we should have it as decision makers and understand those overall costs.
I
So
think
when
you have to.
you tell me you want me to consider a truck for $240,000 tonight in a depicted department, I may sit back and go, but we have these other costs that have come for the last 2 years that have, been legal fees, half of that. It may help me make my decision, say, it may not be, maybe something I can't do, just can't afford. Because all the other departments get affected from that decision.
Okay.
Thank you for
Further
letting me say. it.
discussion. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Sign the bans that we have, the town,
No, I'll speak to the issue of the bands.
okay?
If you'd allow, included in your packet was a breakdown of the bids that we received, and you'll note that
Eastern Bank on top.
you'll note that there was a number of bids that were received. The low bid was from Eastern Bank, 0.5640%. The amount of the bands is $2,171,000. You'll note that the interest rate we received is very attractive. It's a short-term borrowing. Bands are due and payable September 14th, 2012. So basically, they get us through the year. And the breakdown on all the bands is provided here, but the majority of the cost relates to the school feasibility study in the amount of $1 million. Additional items involving stormwater and culvert installation, the ambulance replacement, the capital related to the Hillview, and the little school boiler, together with school technology, are also included in here as additional items.
And this ban is in effect on what date?
This ban would become effective,
September.
monies will be available immediately. So you sign the documents, the date of the notes is September 14th of 2011. Excuse me, September 15th, 2011.
I guess the question I have on the school boiler is, we haven't made a final decision on what we're gonna do with that.
Yeah, we're gonna ban it. We're gonna ban it out for another year. Based upon my estimate of free cash, I would not want a chance paying that out of
I
cash at this
know
point.
you and I had discussed it, I didn't know.
Yeah. So I would recommend that the board so vote to approve, and again, you'll note that the interest rate is attractively low, which is good news.
Okay, Mr. Prisco.
I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm looking for it, I can't seem
Was
to
that
find
in
it in my
the,
package.
Oh, the, motion?
Yeah,
It's in the second set.
I have it I do have it here electronically, if that's okay, I'll read from that and I can write up something on a piece of paper.
You don't have your hard copy?
So,
Something happened.
Must have got
Add it
scooped up.
after and go,
yeah, it's my
And
fault.
filed in the clerk's office.
it may be in there, you just haven't.
Wait,
What, board members, I happen to have in my hand printed motion.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the sale of $2,171,000 bond anticipation notes at a rate of 0.5640% dated September 15th, 2011, and due September 14th, 2012, payable to Eastern Bank.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
It's a nice rate.
It's not a bad rate at all.
I should have asked this
How do I
earlier.
get
Anyone here for public
Public
comment? Anyone here for public comment?
Everyone needs to sign. You do need to sign, though, additionally, as
remember this from last year.
Those are Michael's.
Next item on our agenda is the recycling committee appointment.
Yes.
Mr. Yule.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for the appointment as a member of the recycling committee for an indefinite term. Bruce McCardle, 33 Freedom Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Prisco. Discussion, Mr. Yule.
Yes, I had the opportunity to meet Bruce at one of the meetings. He volunteered to come forward at the recycling committee. He has a website that, for North Reading, that allows you to buy or give, and that's sorry, not buy, but put articles that you are looking to get rid of and put them up in the website for free. And people, if they go to that it's kind of like a Craigslist. You go to that website, and if you need a piece of furniture, and it's there, you can arrange to pick it up. But he's very involved in recycling. I spoke with Ed McGrath, and he said that this guy is very high on his list for being a member. As you know, we just lost, 30 years of experience off the recycling committee, so he would be a great addition.
Thank you. Any other comments? How many positions are open?
There may be one more,
One more,
I
okay.
believe.
I'll entertain a motion. I'm sorry, we have a motion. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Sign the October town meeting warrant. John is here. What did Greg go?
Greg went to the office.
Want to get something? Mhm. I would think so.
Yeah, that's, maybe you would know the answer to this.
What's that?
Let me see if it's on here. Is this number? 1.25%. Isn't it supposed to match that number?
Yeah, I think that's an error there.
Hi, John.
Greg,
So, just a quick question on this, Greg. Should this interest rate here match the motion that we made, 0.5?
6.4, right?
It says 1.25.
It's like double.
That may be a typo, or is it might be 1.25%, but the net amount is actually 0.5.
That's what I was trying to think. I was trying to calculate
It's
that right
tax
here, but
exempt.
I couldn't come up with that number.
It's double what we signed. Oh, the motion we approved.
Yeah, allow me just to take a look at this while you're going through your business, rather than, and I'll report
These
back.
are the same problem too,
Yeah.
the ones I just
Sure.
had here. Thank you.
Maybe the bonds are, they put out to bid as a 1.25%, and they bid on the rate.
No. No. If you don't mind, please allow me to look at the documents, and please move along with your other business and give me an opportunity to look at this and read through the documents. I don't want to hold you up in your meeting.
Yeah, if it's a typo, you just need to replace the first page of and have it properly
we have
reflected.
entertain a motion to sign the October town meeting warrant.
Why don't you send these, I'll do these later.